Hi everybody, thanks for joining me today for this geometry lesson. Today we're going to be looking at how to find the area of a parallelogram and a triangle. Before we left school, we started making a note card of formulas, and in these next couple chapters we will be using a lot of formulas, and so I encourage you to either start a new note card or add these to the note card you have, or just a piece of paper. So the first formula is the area of a rectangle, and that formula is area equals base times height. So you want to write area of a rectangle is the base times the height. Now the thing that you need to remember here that's super important is the base and the height are always perpendicular. So here you have the base, here you have the height. These are perpendicular to each other. The next one is the area of a parallelogram. The area of a parallelogram is also the product of the base and the height. And that's because if you look at this parallelogram right here, if you were to take this height, all right, that makes a triangle. This would fit right over here, which would make a rectangle. So that's why it's the same formula, the base and the height, okay? So again, the base and the height are always perpendicular to each other. So in this example, if this is the base that you're going to use, this would be the height, or it could be over here. You could extend that, and so this would be your height, and this right here is the base. So this is the base, the height is over here, okay? Or if you are going to use this as a base, right here, this side, what you have to do is you have to figure out what the height would be. You would have to extend this and draw a line that is perpendicular. So your height would be over here, and this would be the base. Okay, so just make sure base and height are always perpendicular. So like in this example, if I were to say, all right, this is my base. Well, this is 12. The perpendicular height would be 6. So area of a parallelogram is base times height. So in this case, it would be 12 times 6 if you use this base and this height, which is 72. Now let's say that I used this as a base. Okay, so if this is the base times height, I'd put 10 in for the base. But the distance, the perpendicular distance from this side to this side, so I'm looking here, would be 7.2. And again, you get 72. So either way, it works out. Now, one thing you may have noticed is when I was looking at area, I wrote the formula. I want you to do that on your assignments because that's like a roadmap for how to do the problem. Once you write the formula, it's a matter of plugging in the numbers. Okay, here's an example. What is the area of each parallelogram? So area of a parallelogram is base times height. Well, the base and height are perpendicular. So the base is 5, the height is 4. And so that would give you 20. And that would be, area is square units, so 20 inches squared. This next one, we have a base of 2. And the perpendicular height is 3.5. So area equals base times height. Your base is 2. Your height is 3.5. And that gives you 7. And that would be centimeters squared. All right, this next one, for parallelogram A, B, C, D. What is DE to the nearest tenth? Okay, so DE is this segment right here. Let me see. That would be the height if this, I'm going to put an H right here for height, if this is the base. Well, let's see. We don't know the area of it. However, if you look at this side, this is the base and this is the height. You have a number here and a number here. So you have this base and this height. So you could figure out the area. So the area equals base times height. So the area would equal 13 times 9. Let me grab my calculator. 13 times 9 is 117. So here's what we can do. This is the base and this is the height. All right, and we know that base times height gives you area. So now I'm going to write area equals base times height. You know that the area is 117. We use the other information to help us find the area. We know that this base is 9.4 and the height we don't know. Now we can solve that equation and figure out what that h is equal to. So we'll divide by 9.4. So h equals 117 divided by 9.4 is 12.4 approximately, and that would be inches. So there's your answer. Let's just do one more problem like that. So you are looking for h. So this side is 10, which means this side is 10. So this is the base, that is that height. Now here, you're giving a height of 8. And these sides are 14. Remember, in a parallelogram, opposite sides are congruent. So let's start out by finding the area using the two lengths that we have. So the base is 14. The height is 8. And that gives you 112. All right, and now we'll look at the other side. So area equals base times height. We know that the area is 112. This base is 10. And this height we don't know. So we'll just divide by 10. So the height would equal 11.2. And that is just units, 11.2 units. Now, you can rotate a triangle about a midpoint of a side to form a parallelogram. So basically, if you have a midpoint, and if you take this whole thing and rotate it around there, oopsie, my drawing is not the best, things have not changed, we end up with a parallelogram. Now, the area of a parallelogram is base times height. So a parallelogram basically is two triangles. So to find the area of just one triangle, you take the area of the whole thing, base times height, divide by 2. That's how we get the formula for the area of a triangle. So the area of a triangle is half the product of the base and the corresponding height. Remember, base and height are always perpendicular. So the area of a triangle is 1/2 times base times height. Or you could write area equals base times height divided by 2. So either one works perfectly. Same thing. Okay, you want to make a triangular sail like the one at the right. How many square feet of material do you need? Well, we have a triangle, and so this is the base and this is the height. But we have mixed units here, so we first need to convert. And what we'll do is we'll convert everything to the smaller unit. So 13 feet, there are 12 feet, or 12 inches in a foot. So we're going to take 13 times 12, and that gives us 156. And then plus we're going to add the 4 inches, so this is 160 inches. And then 12 times 12, 12 feet times 12 inches in a foot is 144. And then we're going to add the 2 inches, so this would be 146. All right, so start out, you're looking for area. So being good geometry students, we write our formulas, base times height divided by 2. The base of the triangle is 160. The perpendicular height is 146 divided by 2. So 146 times 160 equals 23,360 divided by 2. You should get 11,680. Oopsie, that was not feet squared. Those were in inches. Let me erase that. Now, we typically would not want a number that large in inches squared. We would want to convert it to feet. So I want to show you how you use unit multipliers to convert. We're converting square inches. Now we know that there is, in 1 foot, there are 12 inches, okay? Which means you can write a unit multiplier as 1 foot over 12 inches, or 12 inches over 1 foot. Now here's the thing, 1 foot and 12 inches, those are equal. So it's like writing 5 over 5, which equals 1, or writing 10 over 10, which equals 1. Okay, because the top is equal to the bottom, it's the same as multiplying by 1. So we're going to write this over 1, and the way that we use unit multipliers, you maybe remember this from, let's see, science with Mr. Lakin last year. Okay, so what we do is we're going to multiply by a unit multiplier, and we want to use the one that has inches in the denominator so that the inches will cancel. So we're going to use this one. So you write 1 foot, which is equal to 12 inches. And that you have inches squared on top, so we need to do this twice. All right, so now inches times inches is inches squared, so that cancels. So now what we have is 11,680, and then in the denominator you have 12 times 12, which is 144. So now we take 11,680 divided by 144, and we get 81.1, and then you have foot, or that would be feet squared. A foot times a foot, that would be feet squared. And now we've converted it to feet squared. Okay, next one. What is the area of a triangle? So this, notice, is in inches. This is in feet. So let's change to the smaller unit, inches. So 1 foot is 12 inches. 12 inches. And so we this is your base, this is your height, those are the perpendicular lengths. And so we have 12 times 5, which is 60, and that's inches squared. And so that's your answer there. And if we want to convert that, oopsie, what did I do wrong? That was a mistake here. That was the area of a parallelogram, wasn't it? I forgot to multiply that times a half, or divide by 2. Let me start over here. All right, so 1/2 base times height, or base times height divided by 2 would be 12 times 5, which is 60 divided by 2 is 30, and that is inches squared. Now, if we wanted to convert that to square feet, 30 inches squared over 1. Remember, there is 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, and so we're going to multiply by 1 foot over 12 inches times 1 foot over 12 inches. So the inches will cancel, and we're left with 30 feet squared divided by 144, and that's not a very nice number. That's going to be a decimal. 30 divided by 144, which is 0.2. So it's 2/10 square feet. So actually, this is probably better in 30 inches squared. All right, next one. Find the area of each figure. So this one's interesting because you can't just find the area of each triangle because you don't know the base or the height for each of these individually. So what we could do is we could make this into a parallelogram, or a rectangle basically. This side would be 25. So if we found the area of the whole rectangle, area of a rectangle is base times height. The base would be 25, and the height would be 25. So that's actually a square, isn't it? Which is 625. Now, we know the perpendicular height of this triangle. That is also 25. So we can find the area of a triangle formula is base times height divided by 2. So that would be 25 times 25 divided by 2, which is 312.5. So that is this 625, that's the area of the whole thing. The 312 is the area of this triangle. So what we want to do is subtract the area of the triangle from the whole thing. What's left will be the shaded part. So 625 minus 312.5 is equal to 312.5, and that would be area, so it's feet squared. And there is your answer. All right, one more problem, and you're not going to be doing this, but I want to include it in my recording, and it's good for you to see how this works because you may see this sometime. It says graph the lines and find the area of the triangle. So the first one we have in the form of y equals mx plus b. B is your y-intercept, so in this case it's -2. M is your slope, so we're going to go up 3 over 4 and up 3 over 4. So there's that line, and you want to make really straight lines when you do a problem like this. Okay, next one is y equals a -2. And so a y equals, remember, is a horizontal line at -2. So we go to -2 on the y-axis right here and draw a horizontal line. Whoopsie, that was not good. I didn't mean to move that. Let me see, move my whole graph. So this needs to be at -2, right there. Okay, we won't do it that way. So this next one is a horizontal line at y equals -2. And then x equals, those are vertical lines. So on the x-axis, we go over to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we will draw a vertical line right there. And now we need to find the area. So area equals of a triangle base times height divided by 2. So the base, we want to use the perpendicular length. So your base would be 1, 2, 3, 4 units. Your height would be 1, 2, 3 units. So it would be 4 times 3 divided by 2, which is 12 over 2, and that is 6. All right, so from here, I want you to go ahead and do your assignment and practice all of this. Remember, your assignment is in Schoology, and also the keys are in Schoology, so check your work as you go. Let me know if you have questions. Thanks for watching.